Cue the music. Good evening.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, don't you know?
Oh, you went there.
Oh goodness, Mama's got her drink and she's getting her drink on today. We're going Midwestern, friends.
Good evening, everyone.
We're going super duper today.
Oh, you rolled out the super duper.
Oh goodness. You know what that Frank's got the super wagon. We're going grocery getting.
Grocery. Oh my God. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Restitching the Tapestry. We're on episode 111. And this episode is being a Midwesterner. Because Ari and I are both from the Midwest. So we are going to talk about what it means to be Midwestern, what it's been like for us to be Midwestern, and the various nuances and tidbits that are very indicative of being Midwestern.
You're in for a show tonight, and we're just gonna do it up super duper. You know, I'm not used to doing the Midwestern accent. This is gonna be the whole damn show. It's gonna, you know, I love the Minnesota accent, but I had to go into the attic. And I just had to dust off Grandma's old trunk and just pull out the old Midwestern accent. I got the margaritas and I just had to pull it out. I'm just ready. We're just doing it tonight. We're having a party tonight. We're doing the little siesta. We're doing the salsa tonight with the Westerner.
All right, I'm going to pee. I'm going to literally pee. Oh my God.
We're doing it.
I think this intro takes the cake for intros that we've ever done.
David, you might feel like you're on Little House on a Prairie, but you know what? We're not Little House on a Prairie. We're Little House on the Midwest.
Oh, it's good to see you, David. And I love your new name, by the way. It's iconic. And then we had Arby here as well. You must have watched one of my earlier videos. And yeah, I'm wearing all sorts of musical stuff today because I'm a huge nerd. So, all right. So, oh my gosh, Ari, what have we been up to and what have we been doing in our little old Midwestern lives?
You know, I've just been doing shit all, if I can tell you what. I have just been not doing any, you know, I've just been sitting on my ass doing a whole lot of nothing. I've been doing my college class a little bit here and there. You know, I went grocery shopping. I did some videos. I've been trying to figure out my videos or whatever. You know, my housing company came in and they cleaned the carpet or whatever. They did some stuff in my apartment. I don't know. I closed the door. My mom called me. She was talking about my sister. I don't even know. I've just been doing shit all whatever. I don't even know. How about you, friend? How you been? How you doing?
I've been eating pasties. I'm kidding. No. Although that does sound really, really delicious. No, I've been doing well. I've been, I'm on spring break right now. So I've been trying to catch up on work. I've been cleaning. Oh my God, I'm so behind on cleaning. Because my partner's been working a lot. So I'm like, okay, I'm home. I'm going to do the cleaning. I'm going to put on my little domestic hat and blouse for a few. And,
all I see is you in a maid's uniform going around dusting everything. And I just, the little, I see. I don't want to make gay fairy jokes, but with
Oh
the
God, make a gay fairy joke. I'm
I'm
here for
just
that.
I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna dust there's just fairy dusting, you'd be like, and you're clean, and you're clean, and you're clean. I don't know, friend. I don't
Bippity
know.
boppity boo. That was so bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
It was so this episode's already a mess and I love it.
We're getting sloppy.
Thank you for bearing with us, everyone. We just
Sloppy like the sloppy Joe.
well, let's be honest, with how dismal and nightmarish things are in the world right now, we felt like kind of doing a lighthearted episode tonight. And we are gonna do like a little current event snapshot to just kind of like give some context, but then like segue into our topic. But obviously, if anybody's been monitoring the news, there's been a lot of anti-LGBTQ plus stuff happening in the
Oh
United
God.
States. And it's been mounting like over the last year, especially because a lot of state legislatures in various states swung conservative, and because of that, they've been really targeting in specific states the LGBTQ plus community. So like Florida, for example, Tennessee, Texas, um, Ohio. Like there have just been like these very distinct states that have been like just attacking the LGBTQ plus community. And last I looked, according to ACLU, there is like over 320 anti-LGBTQ plus state level bills that are being monitored right now.
So, like,
320.
can we just like say all of the haters, all of the like terrible people, like we're just full up on hate against LGBTQ plus people. Like we're just like full up to our eyebrows in like bullshit, and we're just full and like we can't take anymore. So like, you can just stop now. You can just stop. We're just done. We're just full up. We're just like we've just met our quota for the year. We're just done
This
now. You can just
this
stop now.
this septic tank is tapped out.
we're just done.
But so like Tennessee right now is part I mean Florida is bad, but Tennessee right now over the past few days has been like mounting with like the amount of stuff that's been coming out of it. So I think it last week or the week before they banned drag in Tennessee. And the House in Tennessee is currently attempting to essentially overturn marriage equality.
So they banned gay dancing. So is it going to be like there going to be like secret gay dancing kind of is there going to be like are we going to have like a gay dirty dancing movie come out about like Tennessee where it's like there's going to be like secret gay drag, like
I'd watch
backroom
it.
gay drag?
I'd
I'm just
watch it.
saying, like, this is the level that we're at as far as like the hate. Like, you can't gay drag, and it's sort of like we're gonna gay drag in secret, and you can't do anything. Like, there's gonna be like underground speakeasies where people are like, we're gonna gay drag in like secret. You can't stop us.
No, I mean it's very possible that could happen. I mean,
I just the level of ridiculousness that they're going to, and like just like the level of hate, just like up to here.
Well, I guess what worries me is that states have been looking at what Florida's been doing, and I think that they are kind of like taking inspiration from Florida's absolute militance when it comes to anti-LGBTQ plus stuff. We haven't even mentioned the fact that there are dozens and dozens of anti-trans bills, especially and especially in Tennessee and other states too, and it's so unsettling. Um,
The chat just update. Some of the chat hasn't been updating for. Sorry if we haven't gotten to your comments until now.
yeah. So David mentions old gay bars that were underground years back and that DeSantis is setting the tone. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I don't like it.
100%. I don't like it at all either. However, there is some light. There is some good news. Michigan just passed an LGBTQ plus civil rights protections legislation. Michigan, like obviously, I really do feel like Michigan's kind of like the antithesis of Florida right now. Um, and how much progress we've been making here with regard to LGBTQ plus rights, and it's interesting because I also feel like this prior election we were like standing on the precipice of being in the same boat of places like Ohio and Florida, but thankfully we're not. So, and then I also saw that I believe it was Minnesota passed a bill that I think it protects trans and non-binary like health access, etc., which is amazing. So, yay for Minnesota and Michigan. You
I
are
love,
not. You are
I love
not our.
Minnesota. I love me some Minnesota.
You sure sound like you love Minnesota.
I love Minnesota. Minnesota's so good.
but truthfully, like I do very much worry about our LGBTQ plus friends
The
who are
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ friends in like Tennessee and Florida. I had a moment, Ari. I had a moment the other day where I like felt rage. I mean, I've been feeling rage all the time, but I know so many people who have either gone to Florida for spring break or for vacation over the past couple of weeks. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, you know that all of this is happening. So why are you going and supporting
A state that's
a
bad for
state?
gay people.
Right. Now, like I like now part of me, like I don't know, like part of me is trying to like be like, okay, Donny, like
2 and 2 don't equal 4.
yeah, like Florida exists and people are going to go there and it does have contributions to our overall economy and stuff like that. But because we're so ingrained in capitalism, I can't help but think like if we just stopped.
I'm sorry, but it's the same as like Indiana. It's sort of like you don't go to Indiana because there are businesses in Indiana that it's sort of like how there are businesses in like certain states that like they have laws that will make it so that you can't buy like gay wedding cakes or like that, it's sort of like there are laws. It's sort of like they can discriminate against gay people. They can refuse service to gay people because they don't like gay people. It's like
Right.
it's sort of like and like there are discriminatory laws towards gay people. And like thankfully we have housing laws in that you can rent a hotel room and not get discriminated against because you're gay. Like we have those laws in place now, but it wasn't like that maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
Or
Oh
even
yeah.
I think it was even like as soon as like 5 years ago there was still anti-gay discrimination laws that you could get kicked out if you were gay in certain hotels.
Well, yeah, and we're seeing this backward momentum in a lot of different states. Was it Mississippi or Alabama? Like, like I saw that they reinstated Jim Crow law, labeled Jim Crow laws.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I can't. I'd have to look it up. It's one of those two. I believe it was Mississippi. I think it was Mississippi. Horrifying. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? It's so like it's I feel like this is the cold douse of water that's I'm hoping that it'll get people like more attentive to like how things actually are in reality. And hopefully by the time the next election cycle comes through, like significant change can be made.
But like, I don't think that people realize that like it's only a matter of time before, you know, like they are protected as tourists, but like if they were citizens, they wouldn't be protected. And it's sort of like you want to go to a place where they don't protect their natural citizens, but they'll protect you as tourists. And it's such a fine line where they won't protect you anymore.
Right, exactly. It's scary. And you know, I am optimistic that by the time the next election comes around that change can happen, but I can't stop thinking about the damage that's been done and the damage that's going to continue happening between now and said election. So
Yeah.
that's something to think about. But the truth is, like, circling back, I like this makes me grateful that we live in Michigan, considering how much safer Michigan is compared to, like, I kind of feel, I kind of envision Michigan as being like this.
It's not. I mean, it's not that safe because there's still alt-right
Yeah. Oh
Proud
God,
Boys
yeah.
in Michigan, because
Oh
there was
yeah.
a drag queen children's story hour in Royal Oak, and there are still protests, Proud Boy, like alt-right protests happening in Michigan. So it's still not safe. It's still not safe.
And yeah, and mind you, everyone, Royal Oak, Michigan has a very large LGBTQ plus population, and this type of alt-right protests still happened in a place like that. So no, you're right, Ari. Like, it's like, while I do see some positive momentum, I don't think we can kind of grow complacent to the fact that there is like this undercurrent, this riptide of sorts of this type of thing, this anti-LGBTQ plus stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. So shall we go to our show mission statement?
Let's do it.
So Ari, I have a radical idea.
What's that?
Do you want to read tonight's mission statement?
Oh my God. I feel honored. Does that mean you're doing praying hands?
I will do praying hands tonight. Yes. What a shift. I'm here for this.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Where's the mission statement? I don't even know where the mission statement is. I've never read the mission statement before. I've only listened.
It's up at the top right below the
Oh my God.
schedule.
Oh my God. Here it is. I see it. Oh my God. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Here we go. We live in a dynamic society where social media shapes us by creating greater opportunities for connection. It has led to a developing understanding of the adversity many marginalized communities face, the powers causing the adversity, and those who act as bystanders as atrocities take place in real time. Our goal with this show is to make connections and have challenging conversations about social topics, current events, pop culture, and art. Together, let's weave the threads of understanding with what privilege we have in order to learn, educate, and create in a world that's growing.
That was
so much
beautiful.
fun. That was so much fun.
Beautiful. So I have a nomination. I nominate that we switch from here on out. That would be a fun new thing to do, right?
Oh my God.
I'm kind of mad at myself that hasn't happened sooner. I feel like it should have happened sooner because, I mean, this is our baby, you know? So here's to new opportunities and new things happening. Clink. Arpy, I like the switch. Oh my God. So let's talk about being a Midwesterner.
Do you see my cat whiskers in the camera?
I do. Larity's here to celebrate that you just read the mission statement.
He's just watching me do the show.
So, okay. Let's talk about like the geographical expanse that is the Midwest, because I will always, without fail, Ari, have people, when I say like, oh, Michigan's part of the Midwest, they'll be like, no, it's not. It's part of the Northeast. And I'm like, no, technically, geographically, Michigan is considered part of the Midwest.
So technically, is it the Midwest or is it the Great Lakes?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, see, it's interesting because I feel like they're used interchangeably sometimes. Like sometimes, well, and then of course there's the Great Plains too,
Right.
because the Midwest includes like the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, all the way up to like Minnesota, Michigan. I think Ohio is Ohio considered Midwest? No, Ohio is part of the Northeast, I think.
Midwest. No, Ohio is Midwest. I
Oh,
consider
okay.
Ohio Midwest. So here's what I consider the Midwest. I consider Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, maybe Kentucky, and Iowa, maybe Iowa. And like
So,
that's about it.
so do we want to see a picture, everyone? We like pictures, don't we? So I was like, okay, because I have different interpretations of Midwest. Everybody has different interpretations of Midwest. This is apparently, hopefully, this doesn't mess up our connection. If it does, oh well, YOLO. This is apparently the Midwest.
That is not the Midwest. North Dakota, South Dakota, that's not the Midwest. That is some bullshit.
This apparently. Oh, and there's like East.
That is some bullshit. That is some bullshit. That is some bullshit.
Actually, no. This labels us East, North, Central. I don't like that map. I'm finding a different one. Like, what is going on here?
Let's pull it up again. Let's argue this.
I'm finding a better one that's clearer. There we go. This one's a little bit more specific. If it decides to open, excuse me, what are you doing? Open image.
North Dakota, South Dakota. Ah. Start a fight. That is the West. That is far west.
I don't know if I'd call it the West, but
that's a plain state. Arguing.
Can you see it?
I could possibly maybe see Kansas. Maybe. If you stretch your imagination, maybe. But to me, that's a plain state. These are Great Plains.
Well, okay, so it's interesting because that last map that we looked at had us labeled as like northeast central or something, and then it had like the Great Plains. So like I guess it really depends on the map that you look at. It's very nebulous, isn't it? Like I feel like some maps will be like, oh, this is definitely like this whole swath is Midwest. So I guess okay, we've established that the geographical boundaries of the Midwest is a little ambiguous. I guess like if we were to identify Midwest based on people, how would you describe the people in the Midwest?
Friendly.
Friendly.
Conversational. They're the type of people you go to the grocery store to. You go to the grocery store and they're going to ask for recommendations.
Right. Or they're going to be like, oh, that snow we got.
Oh, got to sneak past you there. Just got to get my creamed corn.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to brush against you.
Didn't mean to knock into you.
No, it's so true. Like I do feel like there's kind of like I would you consider the pleasantness performative or just naturally occurring?
Naturally occurring. I think that it's because I think that these places started out small. And so it was sort of like you had to be nice to the people you met at the grocery store, because it was sort of like you had to get along with these people, because if you didn't, it was sort of like you had to see these people every day. You had to see these people every day. And it was sort of like if you weren't nice to these people and you asked them a favor out of them, they might not help you out. Right. It was sort of like you lived and worked and were around these people all the time. And it was sort of like you were a community. And it was sort of like that hospitality. It was sort of like that you knew these people and you grew up with these people and you had children and you knew everything about each other. And it was sort of like, that's why you're so nice to these people and you're so kind to these people, is because it's sort of like you were in it together. You know what I mean?
Right. I do want to check out the comments really quickly. So David says, I can definitely say that Michigan is the Midwest. It's part of the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
Belt. And see, that's another like geographical based on like industry. So like the Rust Belt extends from like all the Northeast all the way up to, what is it, Wisconsin, Minnesota.
But that's manufacturing belt, and that's that goes up to like Pennsylvania and all the way up to like New York and stuff.
And note, it hugs the Great Lakes. Like it hugs right up against the Great, because of course they're a natural resource that was often used and still is used for industry. Arpy says, I used to live in New England, and I think you live out west now, right? David says, I have to say, I was blown away by the hospitality and charm of people in Omaha and Kansas. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. So I've been to Kansas once, and I lived in Missouri for 2 years. And I have to say, like, Missouri, most certain. What was that?
I lived in Iowa.
Yeah, and you lived in Iowa, so like right smack in the middle of the Midwest. Like, so Missouri, I got yelled at when I lived in Missouri. I got yelled at. So me being the sometimes dumb person that I am, like, I referred to Missouri as being part of the South.
I consider Iowa part of the South.
I used to as well. And I've had like multiple a Missourian. Is that the demonym for Missouri? Missourian. I've had multiple people from Missouri be like, we are absolutely not South. We are most certainly Midwest. And then some people would be like, North Missouri is Midwest, South Missouri is South, because there's like a distinct geological difference between.
I would go to the Target in middle Iowa, and there would be cornfields downtown.
That sounds like Iowa.
That is straight south to me. That is it doesn't get much more south than that. Like that is Southern living, friend.
Great. See, now the thing is, like, if we think of the South, there's like a different, like, there's also a lot of hospitality associated with the South, but it's like a different type of.
I was once late to work by half an hour because there was a train that was going through the middle of the town.
Ari, okay, we need to stop this train. With all the train accidents, we should. Anyway, so I grew up in a very rural northern Michigan town, and it would be very common to be late to work being behind a tractor carrying cow manure.
No!
My high school had drive your tractor to school day.
No.
People would drive like their giant John Deeres. Some people would drive their lawnmower. I feel like drive your tractor to school day is one of the most Midwestern things that could ever happen in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah.
Like, my little gay self witnessing drive your tractor to school day, like, I was just like.
See, you grew up in the middle of Michigan, so like that's what you dealt with. I grew I lived on the coast of Michigan, so like we're like all sailors, and like we're like,
You're
listening
gone fishing.
listening to rap music and like you know dealing with the hood and stuff like that, and like trying to be like
Oh my god. That was funny, David. I needed that. I needed that pun.
pretty good. But so it's different depending on what part of Michigan. Like that's people come from like Europe and stuff. My friend came from Germany, came to visit Michigan, and it's sort of like you come from people. That's why people don't realize, like, some people in this country, they don't ever visit outside of the United States because the vastness of the differences in just within a state
Oh
or
yeah.
just within a region are so vast, and just
I mean,
just a landmass is just so
oh
big.
yeah. I mean, if we think of Michigan, like we have two peninsulas. The upper peninsula of Michigan is drastically different looking than the lower peninsula. Like it's very like hilly. Like there are like low-rise mountains at a certain point. Like it's like very rocky as well. Like it's so different. And if you come to the lower peninsula, a lot of it's like fields and like grasslands and stuff like that.
But just like the difference within the Midwest is like so vast, because you think of somewhere like Wisconsin and like Iowa, which are like, or like Minnesota, you get the dialect, you get the oh, don't you know, you get the oh, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
the dialect of Michigan, which is like J'eat, J'eat, you go in the mirror. What'd you see in the mirror? You go to the store.
Do you want to know my favorite Michiganism?
What's your favorite Michiganism?
So in my hometown, we would say like, "Oh, you're gonna go down to the creek,"
Oh,
instead
you
of
going to the creek? You going to the
Are you
creek?
gonna go? Are you gonna go down to the creek? No, like you're gonna go to
You
the
going
creek.
to Myers?
Oh no, like it's like so like Michigan, like linguistically speaking, I think abbreviates or like condenses, not like necessarily
It's because it's a
portmanteauing,
French
but
Canadian. It's a French Canadianism.
oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, part of linguistics. So what we do is that we condense language, and we make words smaller, but we do something with our R's. It's something about French Canadian. It's French Canadian language. It's sort of like we take language and we do things with the R's and the D's with our language. And it's sort of like it's almost Canadian, French Canadian accents, but it's very strange what we do in Michigan, specifically Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
that we do with this. But we do it with our R's, and I've tried to scrub myself out of the Michigan accent, but every so often when I'm under stress, I find myself speaking the Michigan accent. I tried to do it because I learned French and then I learned German, and I tried very hard to scrub myself of my accent, and then it comes out because I went out west and I started speaking the Western speech, because I lived out in Arizona, and then in California, and then in Washington. So I spoke like Westerners do, like I used Western language. And so like I started saying soda, and I started using Western language. And then I came back and people looked at me like I was crazy. Like I would be like,
Oh, you were
I,
saying soda. Oh,
I say soda now, and I
pop,
say,
pop forever.
no, I don't say pop anymore. I say soda. And I say I enunciate all of my words. And so like I tried scrubbing my language, but under periods of stress or when excitement, the Michigan accent, the Midwesternism will come out. It'll hurl itself from my mouth. It'll hurl itself from my mouth. And my family will get terribly excited because they'll be like, there they are. There they are. You
It's so
can deny it all you want. It's still
true.
there.
It's so true. It's so true. No, it's funny because, like, I feel like until you're really exposed to people from other regions, you don't really know that you have an accent. Because we hear our accents day to day, but like when I became friends with someone from Alabama, like for the past few years, I became friends. My friend Cindy, Stream of Awareness, who lives in California and was born in California, like we periodically will have conversations where like, Donny, you have an accent, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand.
I don't know
I
what
don't
know what you're talking about. I don't have an accent. You have an accent. What accent are you talking about? I don't have an accent at all.
I'm gonna go down to the creek and contemplate.
I need to go down to a creek and have I need to have a pop. I need to have a ginger ale.
A Verner's.
A Verner's.
Oh no, it's okay. So I have a funny story. It's kind of like a Missouri story though, like of why I would get confused with like South versus Midwest. And so like when I lived in Missouri for 2 years, people were describing like a glade in a field, but they would call it a holler. And whenever they would say holler, I thought like they were yelling at someone, like hollering at somebody. So like they kept going like holler, like go down over than the holler. And I'm like, what the hell is a holler? I don't know. So I had to have somebody.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I think that Missouri and Iowa are actually part of the South, because Iowa, they'll say things like, so what do you say when something is diagonal to you?
I don't know what I say.
You say something's kitty corner to you, right?
Oh yeah, I do. Like kitty corner.
They'll say cattywampus or catty cross. Cattywampus.
I've never heard that before.
That's what I'm saying. Say cattywampus. It's like cattywampus.
I'm sure they've never heard kitty corner before. Because now when I think about it, kitty corner sounds kind of peculiar. Like.
But they'll say cattywampus. It's cattywampus to me. And then they have this phrase. You know when somebody's like, you need to tell somebody, you need to like tell somebody, like you need to set somebody straight, or like, setting somebody straight, like you need to kind of set them straight about something. They'll have a come to Jesus talk.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
They'll say, I need to give him the come to Jesus talk.
So another word that I was wondering if it's Midwestern or not. So like we obviously have words for like things that like we can't like knickknacks and stuff like that. Like the word doohickey. Like my grandma
dongle
or thingamama or like doohickey, I would say would be the biggest one. Like my grandma always
said,
grab me that. Oh, and instead of saying battery, like if I had to go grab battery, she'd say, instead of battery, she'd say battery. Go grab that battery for me. Go grab them batteries.
That's absolutely a Midwestern thing.
And now I'm just like, wow, we had
tchotchkes. Tchotchkes is a Northwest or Northeastern thing, isn't it?
I thought it was.
That's not a Midwestern thing. Tchotchkes is a Northeastern thing.
Yeah, because I don't remember us ever saying.
Nobody in my family's ever said tchotchkes.
So, are there any like stereotypes for Midwesterners, like semi-problematic ones that people kind of? Well,
okay, so when have you ever been to like a comedy show or like a public gathering? It's Midwestern. You look around. There are no Black people at the show, but it's all Midwestern white people.
Yeah.
Total
Midwestern.
but they're all white people at the show. And they're all dressed the same way. You know what I'm talking about? They're all dressed the same way. They all look like they've dressed out of 2012. They've got the bedazzled butts. They've got the bedazzled butts.
You're being very
lights.
You're being very like kind. I would say like 2002.
It's sort of like we've come full circle. We've come full circle around because now the Gen Z are starting to dress like that too. And it's sort of like how did it become fashionable to dress like that again? Because it's sort of like parents are dressing like their kids and kids are dressing like the parents now. But remember when it was like not cool to dress like that, and now it's cool again to dress like that. And I was just like, how people are paying some serious money for the bedazzled butts again and the mid-rise jeans. And I'm like, that was not cool like 2 years ago.
Ari, we're upset about that. Yet the mullet is making a comeback, which is an absolute concern to me. Granted, you know, like some people can pull it off, of course, but so here's another funny thing. Like, and I feel like I kind of feel like this is a stereotype within Michigan, like people having these impressions about different parts of Michigan specifically. And I think it could be the same for other states like Wisconsin and, well, Wisconsin notably. But Detroit versus up north.
Okay, so let's be clear. What do you consider up north?
I consider up north literally like Clare and like Big Rapids and like Standish northward. So like my hometown, I would consider
anything above the bridge. If you're past the bridge, you are up north.
Oh, I just say UP. Like to me, like UP translates to extreme up north.
Right.
So like I consider like Traverse City like up north, at least for me.
I do too.
No, like so you and I, we went to Vegan Mama. Oh, Christina, hello. The fashion, I do agree that the fashion is a little concerning now. It's good to see you. So my thing, when we went to CMU, which by the way, everybody, CMU is in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, which is like right smack in the middle of the lower peninsula of Michigan.
That is not up north.
No, like I would not think of that as up north. I think of that as like the just middle and field interior cornfield of Michigan. So whenever I would have people like they would be like, Donny, where you're from? And I'd be like, oh, I'm from West Branch. And they'd be like, oh my God, you're from that far away? People live up there? And I'm like, yeah, like what do you like, do you think it's just some abandoned like townscape where like they were like, well, no, like I just thought people had like vacation cottages up there. And I'm like, well, people do like there is this like a lot of people from like Detroit, Grand Rapids, like a lot of the southern cities, they do like to have like vacation locations up north, and West Branch is one of those places where there's like a lot of like vacation tourism.
It's well, that's not most of Michigan. People don't think that certain people live in certain cities because they think it's just a vacation. Like I live in Muskegon, and people don't think that people live in Muskegon or Grand Haven. People don't think people live in Grand Haven either, because it's like that's just a tourist town, right? Right. It's like, no, people actually live there.
So I do like what Christina says here. Up north is anything 50 miles north of where you live, in my opinion.
Okay.
No, I like that. I like that. So that would mean like if a person's living in Detroit, like Flint would be considered up north. Relatively. So, and then there's the thumb of Michigan. We forgot the thumb. There's the thumb of Michigan. My partner's from the thumb of Michigan. And he always describes it as just like this giant, never-ending cornfield. which now has wind turbines in it.
It's true. There's so many wind turbines in Michigan. It's
And
great.
people
I
that
love it.
remember spreading the gay, Ari. Like it's the hot air from those wind turbines.
I love it. I'm okay with that.
People have literally said that before. Like people have been like, it's those wind turbines. Anyway. So what, like, I guess, do you fall within any of like the Midwestern stereotypes? Well, I mean, we do kind of talk about like the language nuances, right?
I definitely am. So like I definitely don't like to upset people to a fault, to the point of where like I am like a people pleaser, to the point of where like I do not like to upset people. I do not like to cause, like, when I am in a social situation, like with people that I don't know, like I do not like to I do not like to cause waves in social situations, to the point of where I will bend over backwards to be as nice as humanly possible. I had such a hospitality when it came to like customer service in jobs, that I would just like I would bend over backwards to like make sure that customers and like people had like the best best possible experience that they could, to the point of where it was like almost detrimental to my mental and physical health. And it was like it was that Midwestern hospitality, to the point, and it's like you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Like it's like it, but it's like it's that stereotype of like, it's that Midwestern nice. It's like I gotta, or like, the thing that I always do too is four-way stops are literally the gateway to hell.
Yeah, it's so
Have
true.
you ever stopped at a four-way stop and you go,
or you flash your lights and you're just like, yeah,
no, you go first.
And then
no,
the
you
other
go first.
person's
And then
like,
you're all just stuck there, not moving. Why are you not moving?
it's such a
Gateway
mess.
to hell. Gateway to hell. Nobody
Taylor
moves.
made it.
Nobody
Taylor,
moves at the four-way stop.
We're talking about being Midwestern, and we're really coming up with some interesting ideas of like stereotypes that are perpetuated that we fit into when it comes to being Midwestern. So David's that little part that's near Wisconsin. Well, I have a map. Let me show you a map.
Oh, it's that northern UP part.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's married, and he actually they have family that lives in that little part that's in Wisconsin.
I would say it's a big part that we have with Wisconsin. And then, so Michigan borders Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, and a little bit of Canada, a little bit of Ontario, Canada here and up here.
Where's my cat?
Oh, and no, we don't border Minnesota. I thought it's Lake Superior borders Minnesota. So I'm so Michigan. I went to Isle Royale and I camped there. Oh
and
my gosh,
I went
trail
trail hiking.
jealous.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Do you think like outdoor stuff is like stereotypical Michigan?
You gotta do it at least once. You gotta.
Like camping. Someone told me, because like I like camping to a certain degree, and somebody who is from the city, they were like, "You like pretending that you live in poverty in the middle of in the woods? What?" And I'm like, well, I was like, well, I grew up in poverty, so
no, it's about being connected to nature. I like hiking in the woods.
Right. That's how I think of it too. Usually, no, like, okay, there's different levels of camping. Like, there's like bougie camping, and then there's like rustic camping.
I mean glamping.
Like my only stipulation is I need access to a shower, because if I don't bathe myself, I'm cranky. If there's ever a zombie apocalypse, I'm gonna be mad the whole time.
So this is how bougie the Isle Royale is. So not only do they have so they have these um hospitality like rooms, so like you can like they have these like areas that like you can go and like sleep in, so all you basically need is like a sleeping bag, so you don't even need a tent. All you need, because they have like
Mhm.
these like camping houses, so and it has like racks and stuff on it. It's super nice, it's super nice, and they're free to the public.
So, for those of you who do not know where Isle Royal is, it is this spot up here in Lake Superior, this island.
And you have to
It's
take a
Mich-
ferry. You have to take a 6-hour ferry to get there.
Yep, and it's right in the middle of Lake Superior, and it's Michigan's only national park. It's really cool. Like not only uh like nature wise, but also like geologically speaking. If you ever read about like the geology of this area, a very nerdy niche thing that I do periodically. Okay, so we have Taylor's commentary, which we need. I need Taylor's commentary. Oop, let me scoot past you.
Let me scooch past you there. Let me scooch past you there.
Taylor's believes that Lake Erie and Ontario shouldn't be Great Lakes. Give them to Canada. New York is not a Great Lake state, and I will fight anyone
Hang
who
on,
says
hang on.
otherwise.
Let me read this. Let me read this. New York is not a Great Lakes state, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Sleeping Bear Dunes is a national park.
Is it really? How did I miss that? What is wrong with me? I'm clearly not a Michigander.
I had to read that in my Midwest accent because it was just too perfect.
Oh, Michigan has a few national parks. I'm terrible. What's going on with me? Oh, they're called National Lake Shores. Basically a national park.
Do you know it's like $25 to go into Grand Canyon? Because I used to live there, and I had an employee park. So here's a fun fact. You didn't hear this from me. You didn't hear this from me. But sometimes if you go to Grand Canyon and you go all that way, and the person who runs the park ranger feels bad for you if you are poor, sometimes it depends on the person, depends on the situation, but sometimes they'll just go, depending on the day.
If you go there, cry.
Just depending on the day. But sometimes they just kind of wave you through if you don't have the money.
That's fair. David says, New Yorker here, them's fighting words. Oh no, is Taylor and David going to have a great war in the chat? Oh, Taylor. You can be wrong. That's fine. You're Oh. What are your favorite Michigan foods? Are there any Michigan food you like?
Ooh, I do like me a good pasty.
Oh, I love pasties so much.
God, there's Polish dogs. I used to eat Polish dogs when I used to eat
Yes.
meat, but I haven't had a Polish dog in years because I'm vegan.
Aren't pasties a Finnish
They're
dish?
they're literally Polish dogs. They're German food festival.
A pasty?
No, Polish
Oh,
dogs.
I was talking about pasties again. I'm stuck on pasties. I'm sorry.
I love me some pierogies though. You can make pierogies.
Ooh.
You can make vegan pierogies. I will have me a pierogi.
Ooh, don't get me started on a coney dog. I will slam a coney dog. I love me a coney dog. I do. Okay, so I feel like venison is also kind of like, well, I mean, venison is eaten anywhere. Um, okay, I was wrong. I thought pasties were Finnish. I don't know why I thought that, but they're English. But so, like, for those of you who do not know what a pasty is, and I'm going to try to describe a pasty. It's basically like breading it's like a
It's like a
breading.
meat pie, but it's in the shape of like it's like in the shape of like in the shape
It's
of
like
like
a calzone. It's like calzone, but like
a meat pie.
someone's gonna stab me for saying that it's calzone out there. Okay.
It's like a hot pocket, but like a meat pie.
Oh, okay. So pasty is a savory hand pie.
I have not tried vegan pasties in Frankenmuth.
That
If
sounds
there are vegan
delicious.
pasties in Frankenmuth, I will take the trip to Frankenmuth to try a vegan pasty.
I would hope that you would come visit me since that's on the way to Franken.
Heck
We
yeah.
would go together. We'd go together because I would eat a vegan pasty. That sounds delicious.
I want to try a vegan pasty. Heck yeah.
Um,
I'll plan for that this summer. I'll give me a pasty.
tater tot casserole. I didn't think of that one. So Taylor says they were made for minors so they could hold the crust while eating and then throw it away and not eat the cold. That's a really, I did not know that. I need to brush up on my Michigan history. Okay, it was brought over from Cornwall to the copper mines in the UP. Yes, there were copper mines in the Upper Peninsula, and I think still are. I don't think many of them are like functional anymore, if any. But what do you love about living in the Midwest or being a Midwesterner? About being a Midwesterner?
I love the beaches. So my mom bought me a parking pass for the lake this summer. So I'm going to be reading books and sitting on the beach and working on my look at this. Look at this. I am pale like a piece of paper. I'm going to be not pale and pasty. I'm going to be working on my skin cancer.
I'm an emo kid. I will always want to be pale, but that's just me.
I was just I lived in California, so I would get a lot of vitamin D in California. And so like I was like very, very happy in California because I was like, just the sunshine and just like I would soak up all the
Yeah.
sun and stuff. And so like I haven't had that, like I don't go outside very much here. And so like I need to go outside
I
more.
do feel like people in Michigan uniquely suffer from seasonal depression because the Great Lakes cause like a lot of cloud cover too, and
Heck
being that we're
yeah.
mostly surrounded. So like that's why when springtime hits, we are outside. We are so outside. Taylor says my mom taught Michigan history for 30 years. Fight me.
Nice.
No, so Taylor says I like the seasons and never being more than 2 miles from water. No, like I feel that way too. Like when I grew up north, I lived only like maybe 20 miles from Lake Huron. So like I would always go to Lake Huron and like just sit on the beach and read, and it's like it's such a beautiful lake. I love it.
You're not, aren't you not far from a lake where you are in oh, you're in
Midland.
Midland now, but
Yeah,
you
I'm
were in
more so like
Midland.
in the middle of the state now than I was before.
That's sad.
I know, it makes me sad. So for those of you who are not from Michigan, feel free to tell us what your favorite thing is about the state that you live in, because I want everyone to feel included, right? And I would like to learn more about why people enjoy other states too.
Right.
But another thing I like about being a Midwesterner is I think that I feel like we're very okay, knock on wood. I feel like, especially in Michigan, like natural disaster wise, like we're one of the safer locations.
It's
Usually, I
true.
mean, we get tornadoes still, like periodically, but not like we're not Kansas.
Fun stuff happens at the grocery store every time I'm there. Do you want to hear my fun grocery store stories?
I do.
So I have two. I have two really good ones. So there was this one time I was at the grocery store just looking at coffee because I just like to change up my coffee every so often because I lived in Seattle, so I'm kind of a coffee snob. So I was getting coffee one day, and I'm just standing there looking at all the different types of coffees, just thinking about what kind I want to get. And this woman comes up to me and she goes, "Hey," and I go, "Hey." She goes, "What kind of coffee would you recommend?" And I look at her and I go, I don't know. Why do you ask? And she goes, "You look like you know your coffees." And I go, well, I actually do. I lived in Seattle for a while. She goes, incidentally, I lived in Seattle too. And so we started talking about coffee for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh. Getting stuck in a store and talking randomly for 20 minutes, that is so Midwestern, Ari. Like, that is like peak Midwestern.
That's peak Midwestern. So second story. It's during the holidays. It's just before Christmas, and I'm grocery shopping, right? So total is so busy, so busy. I'm walking down the baking aisle. There's a woman who looks so confused and scared. And I'm like, oh God, I need to help this woman. I literally go up to her and I go, hey, are you okay? And she goes, I need an adult. I need some help. And I go, what do you need help with? And she goes, I don't know the difference between unbleached and bleached flour. I need someone to make a decision for me about which kind I should get. And literally, that's the most Midwestern thing, is just to ask someone's advice on which type of flour to get
Randomly.
in the grocery store. And I said, it's just the process in which type of flour you should get. I said, get unbleached flour. It's not, there's no difference.
No, this happens. Oh God.
But have you ever had to get asked for advice in the grocery store?
No, this happens to me at Aldi all the time. Okay, so sometimes I'll go into Aldi and people for some reason will think that I work there, because when I shop, I'm moving fast, because I go in, I get my stuff and I'm out, because I actually really hate shopping. So I'll always have people stop and be like, can you help me find this? I'm like, do I look like I'm wearing an Aldi polo? No, like periodically, like I'll get like a bottle of wine, or I'll get something, and I'll just have a person at the checkout line stop and ask me to give them a dissertation on this wine that I've selected. And I'm just like, sometimes I'll humor it, because being Midwestern, I feel like we like to talk, right? But another part of me is just like, I want to go home.
Taylor, I agree. It's a plain state. Just like North Dakota and South Dakota, that's a plain state. It's plain state. Nebraska, plain state. Iowa is the South.
Oh, you ignited Ari again.
I swear to God, we looked at a map, and I got so mad earlier. Watch it on the replay. You will watch me get mad in real time.
They did get mad. Yes, it was amazing. Okay, so I do want to catch up on some comments. So let's see. Taylor says, statistically, if a nuclear meltdown happens, Michigan's one of the best places to be. Yeah, that's a very good point. For New York, I think I love the rolling hills, forests, and mountains, small, quaint towns with mom and pop shops. The city, not so much. No, I've never been in upstate New York, but I've heard it's absolutely gorgeous. RP says, the only thing I liked about New York was the school I went to. I loved hanging out with my cousins and the Armenian community in Rhode Island. I'm assuming RI is Rhode Island. So like, as far as Maryland, I love the college I work at. David says, when I lived in Maine, it was very similar, but with more carefree attitude. I've always wanted to go to Maine.
I've been to Maine. I love Maine. My sister worked in Maine over the summer. I went to Bangor, Maine, and they had like a Stephen King it was very touristy.
Right, because all of his books take place in Maine, don't they? I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I've been to Maine. It's very kitschy. I love it.
I feel like Maine is like forgotten about all the time.
No.
I just recently, speaking of like northeastern states, I went to Delaware recently. Also very like quaint, like and very hilly, and it like so really cool.
Stephen King famous creepo, absolutely.
Yes. This has been a really fun conversation. I'm obsessed right now. So, what's the final question tonight, Ari?
If you've been outside of the Midwest, you often get clocked as a Midwesterner in dress, speech, or otherwise. Are you often embarrassed by this? How do you react?
When I lived in Missouri, I got clocked as a Michigander often. Because of the apparently my accent. And I was kind of shy about it at first, but then I was just like, no. Like,
Oh
I'm
my
proud
God.
that I'm proud to be a Michigander.
When I lived in Seattle, I would often get clocked as a Midwesterner, and they hate the Seattle freeze is so real, and they hate outsiders coming in because it's like gentrifier. Like you're the reason why rents are so high in Seattle.
Especially Taylor, when you consider like the political climate in that state too. No, like when I went, so I've been to Texas a couple of times. When I've been to Texas before, they definitely were like, "You're from like the Great Lakes region, aren't you?" And I'm like, let's go down to the creek and talk about that. Oh wait, except they'd be like, let's go down to the holler and talk about that.
Just cry into my $10 beer from Seattle and just cry about it.
I feel like another thing, like Michigan stereotype is like wine tasting and like cider have become like a huge Michigan staple. And I've become that person where like once or twice a year I will go to Traverse City to go wine tasting. But PS everyone, if you ever do come to Michigan, I do think Traverse City is gorgeous if you ever get a chance to go to it. It is very beautiful.
You know what's really turning into a really beautiful city is Detroit.
Yes.
Everybody says Detroit such a bad city, and like everybody has like these negative stereotypes about Detroit. Detroit is actually like a really nice city now.
I feel like the same happens with Flint. Like Flint, like there's been so much development and beautification of Flint, and I think that people just have like these really long harbored like stereotypes about that. Taylor, Flint represent. Yes. And you know, like as much as I have like how people in my hometown have treated me, I think West Branch is actually beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. It's like I think of West Branch as being like the Shire because it's like rolling hills and woods. It's very pretty. Do you think Muskegon's beautiful?
I love Muskegon. They are doing so many things for the downtown area. They have their little shops, and they're doing so much with the downtown area, and they're doing stuff with the beach. They've done a lot of development with the beach. So yes, I am very proud of. I want to get a beach house. Like that's the dream. That's the dream is to get my beach house someday so I can paint and watch the beach. And
oh my
that's
god, that
how I
sounds
want to spend my
amazing.
retirement.
When you get a beach house, can I come do like little away vacations and just be creative with you at the beach?
You can just like because I want to get a 2 bedroom. I want to get a 2 bedroom house where I have like a bedroom for myself and then like have a guest bedroom. And if I get a beach house, you can just come visit me.
That sounds amazing. No, like so Midland, like where I currently live, it's a very industrial city. However, I feel like it's done a lot of like there are so many parks here. Like every corner you go to, there's a park. There's like nature preserves. Like it's gorgeous. All right. Anyway,
I just want to manifest my beach house.
We're gonna get on that. We're gonna manifest that. We're gonna do it. All right, my friends. This has been a fun conversation. Considering the world is a dumpster fire, you know, riding a train wreck, like it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of freeing to have these conversations. So, but just know that we love you. And of course, tune in next week. I can't remember what's their topic next week.
I don't know.
We'll surprise you. We'll surprise you. Actually, I think I have
It's on
like
the
all the win. What is it?
It's art. How are we lucky? How are we
Oh yeah.
lucky?
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. All right. All right, my
Bye.
friends. We love you. Have a good night. Bye.